The MCAT Cars Podcast, session number 62. The Cars section of the MCAT gives thousands of pre-meds nightmares every night. Whether you're an ESL student, lack confidence while reading, or a slow reader like me, Jack Weston and the medical school headquarters are here to help you score higher in every section so you can be confident you're ready to get the MCAT score of your dreams. And welcome to the MCAT Cars Podcast. My name is Dr. Ryan Gray. And in this podcast, we help you prepare for the MCAT, not just the Cars section. Because when you prepare for the Cars section, you prepare for every section. So I hope you enjoy this podcast and please share it with your friends. If you are looking for some more dedicated MCAT Cars help, look no further than Jack Weston. He has courses, he has free MCAT Cars passages that come right to your email inbox, and he has so much more. Go to jackweston.com, check out everything that he has to offer. And if you're looking to sign up for his course, which I highly recommend if you're planning to take the MCAT anytime in the next year or two, I would start the course now. Start it now. Don't wait for the course. Don't try to plan it perfectly around your MCAT test date, because again, preparing for the Cars section is going to help you with every section of the MCAT. If you're looking to sign up for the course, text the word CARS coupon. That's all one word, CARS coupon, to 44222 and click that link to activate a $100 off coupon. That is a sponsored link, so I do get a little commission when you use that link. So again, CARS coupon to 44222. I appreciate your support and I wish you the best on your Cars journey. Let's go and jump into our episode today. Jack Weston back for some more MCAT Cars podcast. How are you this amazing day?
I'm doing great. How are you, Ryan?
I am wonderful. I am looking forward to the new year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Getting there. Love it. All right. So let's talk about the MCAT and the Cars section and the new year and students going into their winter break or in the middle of their winter break right now, wanting to take a break, right? It's winter break. I'm allowed to not do anything. Do you think it's okay to not do anything over winter break?
Depends on the student. If you're planning on taking the test in January, right? Probably don't want to take too long of a break. But if you're taking the test, let's say in March, April, May, June, yeah, why not? You know, you deserve a break. If you were just in school all day, past semester taking finals, I definitely think taking breaks is necessary. So have room for breaks no matter what. Even if your test is coming up in a couple of weeks, take a couple of days off. It's okay. A lot of times students don't do this because they feel guilty. They feel like, oh, if I'm not studying, I'm not improving. Yep. Sometimes you can improve without studying, right? By letting your brain rest. I like to think of it like a muscle, right? If you're working out all the time, your brain, your muscles are going to get tired. So you're not going to be as efficient in your learning if your brain is tired, if it's fatigued. Take some time off, refresh your brain, come back, and you're going to probably study a lot more efficiently. You don't have to spend as much time on each, problem or whatever you're doing, and you'll be better off because of it. It's a marathon. You have to give yourself time to rest and break things, down and be able to, look back and assess yourself, right? So, it's not just this rushing kind of cramming kind of test. You can't do that.
Yeah. All right. Love it. What do we have for us today?
This is a hard philosophy kind of passage, and most students will read and go, what do I do? What do I do if I get something like this? What do I do if I get a hard sentence or a hard paragraph? And I get that question all the time from students in my course, as well as students who are interested in the course, who attend the trial sessions. This is a common problem. So we'll address what to do with philosophy kinds of passages and, dense kind of passages right now.
Awesome. I love it. This is a hard one, basically, is what you're saying. All right.
Get ready.
All right. First paragraph. I'm against knowledge. Dude, I wrote this thing. All right. So interesting opening short little sentence here. Don't get me wrong. I'm as keen on the facts as the next person. All right. So the author here with this kind of interesting little hook at the beginning, against knowledge, but likes facts, apparently.
So that's confusing. Students are going to go, well, what's the difference between facts and knowledge? It's not the same thing.
Yep.
Not to the author.
Yep.
Right? The author wants you to know that there's a difference between a fact and knowledge. And you just have to go with it.
Yep.
You don't have to be a professional. You have to have a PhD in philosophy to know this. It's just, they're spelling it out for you.
Yep.
The author is against knowledge. Great. Now you may have your own interpretation of knowledge. Get rid of that. Start thinking about knowledge in the perspective of the author, right? That's what it's going to take. It takes a very mature person to let go of their own opinions and their own perspectives and to just completely listen to the authors. So let's keep reading and let's see why there may be a difference between knowledge and facts.
Yeah. I'm no friend of fake news. All right. So the author bringing up something a little more culturally relevant right now with fake news. I want truth rather than falsity. All right. So the author kind of backing up the fact that he likes facts or she likes facts. It is specifically knowledge I'm against, not true belief. All right, so here kind of bringing in this difference again and adding some confusion and probably some resistance from the reader of what's going on.
Yeah, you got to just keep going. Because right now we know facts and true belief is one kind of category, and then knowledge is another. But if I asked you, what does the author want you to know? Or what does the author believe? Could you just tell me that the author is against knowledge?
For now.
Yeah, and that should be enough.
Okay.
Right? As long as you kind of understand the gist of it, you'll be okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Knowledge asks more of us than true belief, and it isn't worth it. Okay. So the author here is setting up this difference that we have to do more than just true belief or facts as the other word that he used or she used.
Yeah. That's one criteria that they want you to know. Knowledge is more than just facts.
Yep.
We don't know what that more is, but we'll go with it.
Mm-hmm. In reality, the concept of knowledge is a hangover from a Stone Age way of thinking that has long outlived its usefulness. All right. So again, the author kind of setting up their argument here.
Yeah. So, but this sentence is important because it's saying that we've outlived the older kind of idea of concept or concept of knowledge, right? Yep. We don't necessarily use that kind of knowledge, that terminology like we do now or like we did before. Yep. Go ahead.
We'd be far better off without it. All right. So the author, this paragraph, it's a little confusing, but I guess we can say that the author obviously is against knowledge, that we don't need it anymore. We've outlived its usefulness, and that knowledge is different than facts.
That's it. Now you won't believe how many students will read this paragraph and start panicking and freaking out, thinking, "Oh, what am I going to do? Oh, I don't get." That's okay. You're not going to know everything. What I do is I laugh because I know they're trying to intimidate the student, right? They're trying to intimidate the test taker. So just laugh it off, keep going, be confident, right? It's the key. If you lose confidence at this point, paragraph 2, 3, 4, 5 is going to be a blur. And if those are a blur, you're probably less likely to get all the right answers, right? Yep. So just keep going.
Okay. Next paragraph. Philosophers are fond of showing how knowledge goes beyond mere true belief. All right. So it sounds like the author is getting ready to set up a good argument here against philosophers. To see the difference, imagine that you are convinced on no very good grounds that a horse called Meadowlark will win the 3:40 race at Ascot tomorrow. Okay. So I'm confused here. The author's trying to set something up here about a horse race, apparently.
Some kind of example. Yep. We got to keep going and see where this is going. But yeah, so they want to show us knowledge, right? And what knowledge is. So let's see what knowledge necessarily is to a philosopher.
Okay. And then suppose it does in fact romp home. All right. So the horse does win that 3:40 race at Ascot. All right. What do you think? Nothing there. Okay. All right.
Go ahead and keep going. I mean, this is just setting us up more
Setting
of
up
the example.
Yeah, all right.
Right?
We wouldn't say you had knowledge it would win just because your belief turned out to be true. All right. So the author is just saying here that's not an example of knowledge.
Right. But this is the philosopher's perspective of knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is knowledge because you know who won. But the author is saying that's not really knowledge. Predicting who wins a race is not knowledge.
Yeah.
That's just a true belief. So now we kind of know that, at least from this example, knowledge is not a prediction, right? It shouldn't be a prediction. It shouldn't be, this kind of interpretation. So we got to keep reading and see how else they describe knowledge and why it's not necessarily useful.
Okay. What more than true belief is required for knowledge? All right. So the author here is setting up a question for us to hopefully dive in to explain himself a little bit more. A natural thought is that your belief needs to be backed by good reasons. Okay. So the author's saying here, people think that your belief needs to be backed by reasons.
That's for knowledge, right?
Correct.
So knowledge needs good reasoning. Okay.
Yep. It can't just be a guess that happens to turn out right. Right. So that's the previous example.
Well, the previous example didn't establish that you need reasons. It did say, okay, maybe it has some element of prediction, but now it's suggesting you need reasons, right? You have to have these reasons to have knowledge. Okay.
Yep. But this doesn't seem enough either. Okay. All right. You were kidding about this one being hard. Thanks a lot. All right. Imagine a friend buys you a lottery ticket as a gift.
Oh,
Okay.
Thank you, Ryan.
I'm imagining. You're welcome. You don't think much of the present because you're convinced that it won't win for the very good reason that it's 1 in a million. All right. So again, you're predicting here that it's not going to win. You're convinced that it's not going to win because the odds
Right. So you're predicting.
Yep.
You're also giving a reason, right? You're 1 in a million,
Yep.
right? Okay.
And in due course, it indeed turns out not to be the winner. All right. So it came true again. Even so, we still wouldn't say that you had knowledge that the ticket was worthless. Okay. So you didn't know it to be worthless. It just turned out to be that way. Okay. Your belief might have been eminently reasonable as well as true, but it still seems too happenstantial to qualify as knowledge. Okay. I agree with that statement. I'm getting there.
Okay. So it's pretty deep, isn't it? Right.
Yeah.
So like, what is knowledge? Look, the first paragraph or two basically said it's more than belief.
Yep.
Do you agree? Do you believe them now? Right? Because now they're saying, okay, it's not just predictions. It's not also reasoning, right? So they're basically trying to convince you that there's a lot to knowledge, right? And maybe that's not necessary anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that most of this is just belief, true beliefs.
Okay. All right. Next paragraph. For those philosophers who work in epistemology, what the hell is that word? Epistemology?
Yeah, I think that's it. Epistemology.
All right. For those philosophers who work in epistemology, the theory of knowledge, the Holy Grail is to pin down the nature of knowledge and explain why it matters. All right. So apparently there's this whole theory of knowledge-ology that I've never heard of before. But the author here is saying what these philosophers do. Pin down the nature of knowledge and explain why it matters. But despite thousands upon thousands of articles devoted to the topic, the philosophers haven't been able to come up with a good story. All right, so our author is saying apparently they read all of these articles, thousands upon thousands of articles, and still haven't come up with a good story as to why knowledge matters.
Yeah, at least from the author's perspective.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
I say that's because they're barking up the wrong tree. Right? So the author is basically saying the philosophers are wrong. The notion of knowledge doesn't, in fact, pick out anything important. Okay. So the author.
Yeah. So you don't need to know what barking up the wrong tree means, but you did, right? It's like kind of an idiom here. Like you don't. It's not something you really need to know. But the next sentence basically says the notion of knowledge doesn't, in fact, pick out anything important.
Mhm.
That's what they want you to know, right? That it's useless, essentially.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a crude concept we have inherited from our prehistoric ancestors, and it positively handicaps us in our dealings with the modern world. All right. So the author's still on this fact that we don't need knowledge. We've inherited it from our prehistoric ancestors, and it's messing with our ability to handle the world.
Okay. Sounds good. That's it. That's
Oh.
what you need to know. You don't need to know more than that. If you're worried about the whole philosophers' knowledge, theory of knowledge, or you're worried about the lottery ticket or the horse race, going down the wrong path. As long as you know knowledge is kind of not necessary, it's old, then you're on the right track here. On the right track.
All right. I don't feel on the right track, but hopefully we'll finish strong here. Last paragraph. And this is right. That's the goal. Like, just as painful as it is, just keep smiling, keep reading, and hopefully something clicks.
That's exactly a great way of looking at it. Keep smiling, even if it's painful.
All right. Last paragraph here. Before the emergence of modern humans, our prehistoric ancestors couldn't grasp such sophisticated representational notions as belief. All right, so the author here setting up potentially why we had to have knowledge in our prehistoric people, because we couldn't understand belief.
Yeah, you had a good sense of what's going on, right? This is about the past, and we know the past, they use knowledge. So good. Okay.
Instead, they worked with a rough distinction between those thinkers who were in contact with the facts and those who weren't. Interesting. So those who kind of knew the facts and those who didn't, there was apparently a difference.
So that's why knowledge was so important, right? Like, oh, I have knowledge. I know my stuff, so listen to me, right? That's probably what the author's trying to say here. Kind of sounds like Tai Lopez, if you've ever seen those commercials from on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Lots of our ancestors had knowledge that the earth was flat, and there were others out there who had the facts. All right. This rudimentary way of thinking lives on in the concept of knowledge. Okay. So just again, why knowledge is we've outgrown the need for knowledge. But we don't need that concept anymore. Okay. So the author doesn't like knowledge.
That's right. It. Yeah.
The modern notion of true belief is far more subtle and flexible. That's interesting because in my mind, belief is so much more not flexible. But anyway, so the author is setting up this just big difference here. Yet somehow the archaic concept of knowledge keeps us in its grip, like an old lover who can't get out of our system. All right. Again, so really, I just keep repeating to myself, this author doesn't like knowledge. It's archaic. It's old. We don't need it. True belief and facts. That's what we need.
Okay, but if I had a question on how do people perceive the world today, is it based on facts or knowledge? Which one would you go with?
Knowledge.
Yeah, that's why the author's writing this. The author's writing this to suggest that we change the way that we look at knowledge and the facts.
Yep.
So you can't assume that today we don't have knowledge. We do. That's why the author's writing this. Keep that in mind.
Yep. Oh, man. All right. It messes us up in so many ways. Again, just how bad knowledge is for us, at least according to the author. We really need to forget about knowledge. All right. So again, the author just giving us their point of view about knowledge and that we don't need it. It keeps hold of us. It's keeping us back, and we need to get rid of it.
That's it. And I love how while you're reading, you're giving me or giving everyone basically the struggle that you have. You're like, you can sense the struggle while you're reading this. And I think everyone has that sense of struggle sometimes.
Yeah.
So your brain is being overused, right? This is a good time to take a longer break, right? Yeah. like your brain just got used dramatically for this, right? So don't go in and do another 5 passages or 3 passages. Take a break, right? And reassess what you did and how it affected you. That's how you prevent burnout, is by keeping track of how much work you've done mentally and being able to give yourself that necessary break when you've done too much.
Yeah, after that passage, I need a glass of wine. That hurt.
Yeah, now, so the reason why this passage was so tough was because they never defined knowledge. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
They said knowledge, it's more than predictions. It's more than reasoning. Oh, it's something that people did in the past. But what is knowledge? They just said it's more than beliefs. And that bothers students. That makes them try harder, right? Doesn't matter. You know the big point. You know that we should forget about knowledge and that facts are enough. Now, and it's interesting because you have a different perspective on beliefs and facts, right? You thought those are not so flexible, but the author does. So when you get questions on whether or not facts are flexible, are they or are they not flexible? They should be, right? These beliefs and facts are flexible, at least to the author.
Yeah.
True belief, is flexible.
Yep.
So that's it. That's how you have to read. You have to be strong, committed to what you're reading. Don't give up. And take a break, if you need to.
Oh, please, God, please take a break. All right, so there you have it. I hope that was helpful for you. I really recommend, if you can, sit down for the 20 or 30 minutes that this episode plays. You can even speed it up. I listen to all my podcasts sped up almost about 1.7 to 1.9 times speed in my Overcast app, which is what I use on iOS. I would recommend sitting down and working through the articles with us so that you can understand potentially where you're going wrong and where I'm going wrong as I'm reading these passages, and Jack is helping me through them. So I hope you follow along with us, and I hope you the best. And I wish you the best in your MCAT CARS prep. Don't forget to text the word CARS coupon, that's all one word, CARS coupon, to activate that $100 off coupon at jackweston.com. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time here on the MCAT CARS podcast.
This is MedEd Media.